Hi, my name is Sophia, and today in this video I'm going to be showing you my top 5 favorite poses for pregnancy. These poses are things that have just really brought a lot of ease and soothing to me throughout this process of growing life, and I really hope that they help to serve you too in case you're experiencing any of the discomforts that I've been experiencing. And yeah, let me know in the comments how it goes for you, how everything feels.
And we'll get started. Begin on your hands and knees with your hands directly beneath your shoulders and your knees directly beneath your hips for a tabletop position. You can bring any type of organic movement into this if you'd like to just warm yourself up first. And then walk your hands back towards your legs and bring your hips down onto your feet so that you're seated on your legs. This is Thunderbolt. This pose is a very gentle, restful, seated position. It's very helpful for digestion. I personally have had a lot of issues with that. Not too bad, but enough that, sometimes I wake up at night and I'm just like burping and feeling just like some regurgitation and things like that. So this pose really serves to ease any sort of digestive issues. Of course, it makes sense, when you're pregnant, there's just not enough room for your stomach sometimes. So if you have any problems with that, then this pose will definitely serve you well. Of course, you want to check in with this pose and make sure that your spine is straight and erect, your head directly over your shoulders, shoulders directly over your hips, and your shoulders are not creeping into your ears. You want them down and relaxed when you sit here. Moving into our next pose, take your hands and place them in front of you on the earth again so that you find yourself in tabletop. And then bring your feet onto the earth so that you're standing on your feet with your knees bent, placing your feet about as wide as the mat or wider with your toes pointed outward. Then bring your hands into your heart space in a prayer position with your elbows pressing against your knees. This is called Yogi Squat. This pose is very connective, so this helps you to connect with the earth, to connect with your womb space, and it also is very opening for the hips, so it helps with any of those muscles that are just tight from walking with a big old belly, and also just facilitates the openness of that area for the eventual birthing process. This is also a very meditative pose, so if you find mental distress or mental unease, this is a great pose to come into, to ground yourself and to center your thoughts and your mind. Moving into our next pose, place your hands on the earth in front of you for tabletop position, bringing your knees beneath you as well. Now extend your left leg straight out behind you, and then bring it all the way around to the front of the mat so that your foot is on the earth next to your hands. Place your foot on the outside edge, the left edge of the mat, and then sit your hips forward. I invite you also to explore dropping your left knee down so that your left foot comes onto its edge, bringing a little bit more openness here, just exploring your body and seeing what feels best. You can keep your foot flat here as well. This is called lizard pose. This pose has been especially helpful for me because I have had the muscles in my groin area, like right in my inner thigh, have been like cramping and like spasming and things like that. I think just the weight of my tummy and relying on those muscles so much to get around. This pose really serves to open up those muscles and relax them and just give them a little bit of relief from all the extra work that they're doing. To move out of this pose, bring your front left foot in a little bit and then place your back foot flat on the earth so that you come up off of your knee. And we'll work in a little bit of strength here, so just raise your torso a bit so that your hands are off the earth, standing in this sort of modified crescent pose. Building that strength just kind of helps to counterbalance the opening and fluidity that we created in those muscles. Bring your hands back to the earth, your back knee to the earth, and then walk your left foot behind you so that you come into a tabletop position again. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So take and extend your right leg behind you, and then bring it all the way around to the front of the mat, placing it on the outside edge of your mat, on the outside of both of your hands, and then sit your hips forward, creating an opening and a stretch in your hips, and then relax your knee, your front knee down so that your foot comes up on its outside edge. As your body relaxes into this pose, I invite you to close your eyes and connect with your breath, envisioning your breath going all the way down into the stretch that you're feeling. This pose can be very deep and intense at times, so listen to your body and utilize your breath to bring healing and release into this pose. I personally really enjoy breathing through my nose as I inhale and then exhaling out of my mouth because that's a very cleansing breath. Coming out of this pose, I invite you to stand up on both of your feet, lifting your back knee, bringing your front foot in a little bit until you find a stable base, and then lifting your torso just a bit to create a little bit of strength in those same muscles that we just opened up. Place your hands down on the earth, drop your back knee, and bring your front foot all the way around to meet your back foot for tabletop position. Place your knees as wide as the mat or wider, and then sit your hips back for child's pose. I personally like to place my hands and arms crisscrossed underneath my forehead to bring a little bit more space and support for my torso. We'll be resting in this pose for a bit, so just get to know your body, listen to your body and what it needs. Close your eyes and sink into the sensations of your body. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, bring yourself back up to your tabletop position. Extend your right foot behind you straight out, and then walk it back behind your other foot, and open your torso up, bringing your right arm up into the air, and then lift your right leg as well so that you're balancing on your left arm and leg. This pose is called Balancing Half Moon Pose. I find this pose to be really great for pregnancy because it helps with stability. Stability is something that I have found to be very different with pregnancy. This is also a very energizing pose, which is great for pregnancy because I've personally found my energy levels to be fluctuating a lot more. There are some days where I'm very energized and some days where I want to lay in bed all day. So this really helps to just cultivate consistent energy levels. Return your right foot to the earth and your right hand to the earth, coming back down to your tabletop position with your knees beneath your hips and your hands beneath your shoulders, and we'll come into this pose on the other side. So taking your left foot, extend it out behind you straight, and then walk it over towards the right side as you open up your left arm towards the sky and your hips open all the way up to the left side. As you can see here, I had to move my bottom foot and my hand both to find stability. It's definitely very important to just explore your own body and make any adjustments you need so that you can feel strong and stable before you raise your left leg. Envision a line going all the way from your toes, up your leg, up your torso to your head. Nice straight line, active line. You keep your toes pointed forward and activated. And as you breathe, use your breath for strength. So if you feel like your leg is dropping, just inhale all the way into that leg and imagine your breath lifting your leg and keeping your leg activated. Moving out of this pose, place your left hand and foot back on the earth beneath you, returning to your tabletop position. Tuck your toes under and lift your knees and your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Walk your hands and your feet in towards each other until you come to a forward fold. Inhale to come halfway up with a flat back. Exhale to return to your fold. Inhale, bend your knees and reach your arms forward as you use your legs to rise up to standing. Reach back and get a nice good stretch in, and as you exhale, bring your hands down to your heart space. Inhale into your heart, and exhale to release your hands down to your sides for mountain pose. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths here, just feeling all of the work that you've done. If you're not already at the front of your mat, then take a few steps forward until you're at the front of your mat. Inhale and raise both of your arms out in front of you, as well as your right leg, keeping your knee bent. And as you exhale, carefully lean forward as you extend your right leg straight out behind you for Warrior 3. Your arms can remain at your heart space, Or you're welcome to explore extending your arms out to your sides or straight out in front of you. This is another balancing pose, much more balancing than it is strength. In that last half moon pose, it was more strength and balancing. This is mostly balancing, which I just love during pregnancy. And as you can see, I didn't have the most graceful return, but that's okay. Whenever your body's done with a pose, it's just done. You're welcome to return back to standing at the front of your mat. And when you're ready, we will begin on the other side. So inhaling as you raise your arms and your left leg up in front of you. And as you exhale, leaning forward as you extend your left leg straight out behind you. I personally prefer keeping my hands at my heart space. I feel the most stable here. I also tend to keep a slight bend in my knee that I'm standing on. This is a great pose for pregnancy because it invites us to explore our body. There's so many different ways that we can hold this pose and that we can, move our arms, move our legs, move our toes. And I think that's a really big part of yoga in pregnancy, is just exploring the new terrain. It is different than it usually is, so this is a great pose for exploring new things. When you feel complete, simply return your left foot to the earth and come back up to standing. And those were the 5 poses. I will guide you back down to the earth so that we can have a little bit more of a cool down and rest after all that work we just did. So inhale your hands up overhead and exhale to fold forward. Inhale, coming halfway up with a flat back, and exhale to fold forward again. Place your hands on the earth. Place both of your feet back behind you and then bring your knees down to the earth beneath your hips. Place your knees as wide as the mat or wider. Sit your hips back and place your forehead on the earth or on your hands in front of you. I like to call this the frog-child combo because child's pose, we tend to have our toes together behind us. And in frog's pose, the variation is that our toes are pointed straight out behind us so that the bottom half of our legs is parallel to the edges of the mat. This allows for so much more space for our sweet little baby tummies. Take a nice deep breath in, and as you exhale, rise back up, lifting yourself with your hands and coming up to a seated position, back to our original pose called Thunderbolt. Tune into your body and take any type of organic movement that feels good to you. And bring yourself down to your usual crisscross position, your easy pose. And I'd like to close out this practice with one resonant sound of Om together. Inhale for Om. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide your practice today. The light in me sees and acknowledges and loves the light in you. Namaste.